What is goody, everybody? So, this is probably gonna be like my first post game, um, like reaction or basketball takes in general. Like initially, like in a while because I don't know, like all the other playoffs games weren't just really that interesting, or it's either that or I didn't really watch like a lot of the games, but this time I managed to watch like initially like most of the game, and so I watched it enough just so I could give like a solid solid takes in my opinion about this game, and it was a really good game. Like ultimately, the Boston Celtics won this game. Now, if you ask me who I'm rooting for in this series, it is actually pretty tough in my opinion because for one side, you got the Boston Celtics. Like they were considered to not even make the playoffs in the first half of the season, and then now here they are. They're in the finals. And then for the Warriors, like Curry just deserves to be respected from what he's been doing for the NBA. Like dude just changed the whole entire NBA in general. Like people they would just shoot long bomb threes just because of Steph Curry. Like it went to Trae Young, went to Dame Lillard, went to all of that. Like Curry made 3-point shooting the main objective of basketball. Like he's also the reason why like bigs would literally just shoot threes. Like Curry just changed a lot about basketball. So either way, if either team wins the championship, I'm pretty cool with that too. So I guess I would lean the Warriors just by like a little bit, just because like Curry's getting old and he deserves to get acknowledged in a Mount Rushmore conversation. And but like I said, if the Celtics win, that's cool as well too. Plus, it could give like a salt in the wound to all the toxic Lakers fans who just just like to be obnoxious, and so that way it could kind of shut them up from saying, "Oh, Jayson Tatum to the Lakers." But anyways, let's dig into the game. So first half, my goodness, Curry was just lighting it up. He dropped like 7 3-pointers. He just could not miss in general. And then second half, um, the Celtics kind of started to gain some momentum, and ultimately the Boston Celtics won because like a lot of role players just initially just I managed to save the Boston Celtics for the night. Shout out Derek White, shout out Marcus Smart, shout out Al Horford. But now let's dig into player by player. So first of all, Steph Curry. He ultimately did his thing. He did what he could. 50% from the three. Um, had 7 threes in the first half, I believe. I don't know if he really made any of the shots, but honestly, Curry just didn't get as much of the ball in his hands as he should be. Like offense could have ran a little bit more by Steph, just have Curry shoot the ball more often. But he did. He went off. He went off. He did what he could. He really did what he could. And then you got Andrew Wiggins. Shot Andrew Wiggins. Dude had one of the biggest redemption stories ever. He dropped 20 points. Just was a pretty good bucket getter, which is did his job. He did his job to provide some scoring. Klay Thompson. Um, Klay Thompson. Well, he didn't had a flame throwing three as how much that Warriors fans or how the NBA fans in general want him to have. So he didn't hit 20 points. He went like I believe 2 for 7 or 3 for 7. I can't really recollect, but Klay Thompson showed a little flash of having the mid range too, not just a three. He even did like a little tiny step back from the mid range. So that is that. But hopefully Klay Thompson could catch fire, and I could definitely see Klay Thompson catch fire. But this was just entirely not the Warriors' night. Like they were just like essentially off for the game. Kevon Looney, he didn't really do too much in the offensive end, but it's just like again, it was just not really the Golden State Warriors' night. Um, Otto Porter, he was actually kind of like pretty solid. Um, he hit some timely threes when it would be needed. Solid, solid. Draymond Green, his scoring was just, I don't know, like he went like 2 for 12, which is like, we all know Draymond Green is not the type who would be like a really good scorer. Like he always will have the hustle plays. He would be the guy who plays defense and be the playmaker. But Draymond could at least like try to be like a little more efficient. Could have been like maybe try to be like 5 for 12 or something like that. And free throws could be worked on. But like I said, it's just not really the worst night in general. And then let's see who else can I remember. Oh, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, like when Jordan Poole doesn't really have a good game, that's when you know it's just not the Warriors' best night. Like next game, it may probably be different because Steve Kerr being a really good high key coach could just set them for the right path and ultimately help them win the game. And then now let's talk about the Boston Celtics. So first of all, Jayson Tatum went for a whopping 3 for 17, which is holy cow. He did get some good amount of assists. Like I believe he got 13 assists. I'll give him that. His playmaking is actually pretty darn good. I'm not gonna lie for his size. But geez, 3 for 17. Could you imagine if Paul George or Kawhi just had the type of stat line? He'd be murdered relentlessly. Or initially, if Jayson Tatum just played like that in the Clipper uniform, that would be tough. That would be tough to say the least. But fortunately for Tatum, the Boston Celtics won. Jaylen Brown, he did his job. He got the buckets. He played solid D, pretty athletic. Just simple as that. Typical Jaylen Brown things. Um, Al Horford, that man was just something else. Like it's kind of like how Jonas Valanciunas plays against the Clippers. Like he just went off when the Celtics needed him to go off. He was hitting all top threes whatsoever. Like, hey, Al Horford kind of deserves uh the top of the game because he's getting old, and Al Horford, like he's getting old, and definitely would love to have something like that. So, fat shout out to Al Horford. Larry was like the Celtics' big time hero. Marcus Smart, he was pretty good on the offensive end as well too, not just the defensive end. He hit a lot of timely threes as well too, like 4 for 7, which is pretty solid, I believe. Who else? Derek White, the Celtics acquisition during the trade deadline, and that trade probably revolutionized the Celtics because like ever since they got Derek White, the Celtics just transformed from a team that won't make the playoffs to a team that would make the NBA Finals. And Derek White, he showed that. He showed that because he was a bucket. He was a big time good bucket, just a really good guard that you would want to have on your team. Like shout out to these three: Al Horford, Derek White, and Marcus Smart that ultimately made the Boston Celtics um, beat the Golden State Warriors. But other than that, I don't really know any other players to talk about at this moment. Like I can't think of any Celtics player that I could think of, but I assume like they did their thing as well. Like they didn't do anything shabby, or they didn't do anything bad either. So that is really that. So just let me know what you think about this video in general, and let me know in the comment sections who you're rooting for, and who do you got winning this series ultimately. Like, do you guys got the Warriors, or you got the Boston Celtics? And as y'all know, have a great night, and peace. My bad.